Now we will learn about document object model and how to interact with it using JavaScript. So the DOM is a crucial part of web development as it allows you to dynamically manipulate the content, the structure, and the style of the web page. Now the DOM is is a programming interface for web documents. It represents the page so that the programs can change the document structure, the style, the content. So DOM is essentially a tree of an object representing the elements of the web page. So remember, a document represents the entire HTML document, and then elements, individual components like the division, like div, the P for paragraphs, and the anchor points of the HTML documents, and then the nodes. These are the building blocks of the DOM, including elements, text nodes, and comments as well. So think of a DOM as a family tree where a document is the root, and all the elements like the divs and the paragraphs are branches and leaves of the tree. Now, when it comes to interact with a DOM, you need to select the elements that you want to manipulate. So JavaScript provides several methods for this purpose. We've got query selector and query selector all. Now with query selector, it selects the first element that matches the CSS selector, and then the query selector all selects all the element that match the CSS selector. All right, now let's go ahead and create a folder for this. So again, so we'll add a new folder, working with DOM, and then in here we'll have our index.html or HTML document. I've got a division here with an ID of my div. And then here I'm just gonna say hello world. So if I wanted to select that, selecting a single element, I can just say so we'll have a script here, and we can say const my div is document, so we can use document dot query selector. So this is to select a single element, which is it has an ID of my div. So you'll see here we'll put a pound that denotes that it's actually an ID my div my div content dot text content. Now you will see this will output so if we go to console, that will output actually hello world, okay, which is a text content of what we actually selected. All right, now selecting multiple elements, let's say we had we've got an unordered list, and then with maybe so let's say we've got item 1, and here we've got item 2, and then in here we've got item 3. Now we can also do the same thing. We can say const let's just say list items. So it's document dot, this time we're going to use query selector all because we're trying to select all of these items. And then what we want, we will list items dot for each, so we can just look through them. Item is console dot log, and then we can just say item dot text content. Again, if we have a look here, then we can actually see that all the items are selected, item 1 through item 3. All right, so we actually iterating or looping through all of them. Now then we have what we call event handling. Now, event handling allows you to make your web pages interactive. So you can respond to user actions like clicks or key presses and mouse movements as well. Um, Now, an event, remember, it's a type of an event like click or mouse over or key press or something like that. And then a function, the function is the function to run when the event occurs. And then use capture, there's an optional parameter that you can actually, that specifies whether the event should be captured or bubbled. All right, let's say we had a button here. So let's say we had a button, and then this button has the ID my button, and then we can just say click me please. So we've got that button there that says click me. And then here on the JavaScript, let me just make a comment, events. We can have a constant. My button is document dot query selector, and then which is a my button, and then my button dot add event listener. So we can add event listener. So the event can be a click because the button we are clicking. So the name of the event is gonna be, the type of the event is gonna be click because we are clicking that button. And then the function, the functions will run when the event occurs. So we can say we can just alert now. So if we go to the button and we click on click me, then we get an alert that says the button was actually clicked. Now JavaScript also allows you to create new elements and modify existing ones dynamically. Now when it comes to creating elements, we can use document.createElement, which will help us to create a new element, and then element.append it will adds newly created elements to the DOM. Okay, for example, let's say we just have below this button, let's say we just have a division with the class of with the ID of container, all right? And let me just make a comment here and say creating elements, and then we can have console dot not console, so we have const container, and then it's document dot query selector. So we want to select query selector, so we just want to select the container, and then now we're gonna be creating a new paragraph in that container, paragraph element. So to create it, we will just have new paragraph, and then we use document dot create element. So we want to create a new element, a paragraph, and then let's say new paragraph dot text content. This is a new, then we will actually add that paragraph, add the new paragraph. So now to do that, we will say container dot append child new paragraph. Now if we go and have a look, then we'll see that we have the new paragraph. Excuse my spelling. So, but we actually created this new paragraph dynamically with JavaScript. We can actually fix the spelling. Paragraph. And then if we have a look here, then we can actually see the new paragraph that is created in the container. You will actually see if we right click and inspect, then you'll see that we also created the element of P, which is a paragraph there. Okay, so you can actually see that as well. Sometimes we want to modify. So let's take this my div, for example. So in here we've got hello world. All right, and then let's say we want to actually modify it. So we already have a query selector called my div. All right, which is my div. Okay, and then now we can actually modify the text content maybe. So remember, say hello world. So we can just say my div dot text content. You can just say updated content. Now, if we look at it, then you'll see that now it says updated content. It's no longer saying hello world. So that's updated content. So we can even go further by modifying the HTML. So now we can also modify the HTML content. So if we look at it, then you can actually see now it's actually bold. All right, so we can do all of this through JavaScript. All right, so we can even, let's say we want to set an attribute, set an attribute. Okay, so it's supposed to be a comma here. So that will actually have a new class called highlight. So if we actually check it by selecting and then right click and inspect, then you'll see now that it has, this div has a new class called highlight. So that class I can use it to you know, to set to select with an CSS, and then I can just change anything that I want to change through the class. So in summary, the DOM represents the structure of the web page as a tree of objects, and then you can use query select and query selector all to select elements and manipulate them, and then use add event listener to make your page interactive by responding to the user action. And then you can use create element, append child, test content in HTML, and set attribute to create and modify elements on the fly. So just by understanding and practicing these concepts, you can create dynamic and interactive web pages that enhance your user experience.